Yes people, what is good? I am BA, back once again with another reaction in the Deadwood series. This is episode 8 of season 3 and it is called Leviathan Smiles. Last episode, we saw the Russian telegram guys show Al that Mr. Horst had ordered more bricks, which they believe to mean more men, as in he's hiring some backup. Like I said last week, I hope they're not misinterpreting this. Horst could be just ordering bricks. Maybe he wants to repair the fucking wall he knocked down in the hotel. But yeah, if they have got this correct, they intercepted that note, and then I think they gave Horst a dummy one back or something, but they made sure it didn't reach its intended destination anyway. And Mr. Horst successfully had a business meeting with Aunt Lou's son. It was a bit tense to begin with, but at the end they seemed to see eye to eye and be on the same page. Much to the dismay of Aunt Lou, she does not want her son to have anything to do with Mr. Horst whatsoever. And who can blame her? Mrs. Ellsworth made a promise that she was going to try her best to get off opiates again. I really hope she manages to do it. She was clearly upset most of last episode, knowing how badly she's messed up, and I think she has the willpower to do it. If she's done it once, she can do it again, so I've got faith in her. Steve offered the General a job at the stables after having pushed Hot Stetler to taking his own life the episode before, so the General obviously declined that offer, which caused Steve to go on yet another tirade. To me, that's like a guy deep down knowing racism is some bullshit, like not even on a conscious level, just his instinct understanding that over time he'd struck up a bond with this guy and wouldn't mind still having him around, but everything he'd heard and been taught from a young age, or however the fuck he developed such a horrific level of racism, overrided that as soon as the General said no, and he just reverted back into his usual absolutely disgusting hate speech mode. And the big news, Deadwood has a new power couple in the form of Calamity Jane and Joni. Well, I don't even know if they're an actual couple, but they kissed one another last episode. They seem to have a thing going on. That's cool to see. They are both awesome characters and I fully endorse them getting together. Plus, Joni's a trained fucking professional. Jane will be getting the best head of her life. But yeah, I've been looking forward to this episode, so let's get into it. This is episode 8, season 3, Leviathan Smiles. Let's check it out and see what it's saying to it. The one thing I forgot to mention on the intro was the whole shit with the doc last episode. He was trying to be out and still helping people, even though he was definitely worried he would pass what he has on to someone else, and then Al could tell he was ill, so he called him into his room at the top of the gym and ended up having a bit of a tirade at him. But like I said last episode, it was just him knowing how ill the doc was and his fury at the situation, but he just unleashed it on the doc himself. The most telling sentence was when he said, "I'm not learning some new doc's quirks." That's his way of saying, you know, he doesn't want it to change. He doesn't want the doc to go. I hope the doc survives. It's not looking good for Team Doc. Did they actually go out and distribute the newspapers in the morning themselves? Is this pre-invention of the paperboy? Even seeing Richardson smile puts a smile on my face. And this will be the edition that has Seth's letter printed in it. Let's see how the town responds to Mr. Horst after they all read this.
Changing from day to day when the school is to be relocated.
Speak to the theater
what
people.
What disturbs me is you're accepting the uncertainty without quarrel.
Seth isn't the best at discussing something civilly, to be fair. This seems like quite a trivial issue to be raising your voice over.
Do please then forgive me. Do please forgive me.
At least he said it like he meant it once before he left.
Is the paper even out yet?
Guess you don't fucking know much, do you, Saul?
Fucking hell, Seth. Someone's woken up on the wrong side of the bed today. Chill the fuck out. Who are these guys?
Whoa! Road agents! Ambushed us a couple of miles out!
So these guys are residents of Deadwood and they were ambushed by road agents.
We were just trying to drive them off, Sheriff.
How many were there?
2 or 3.
I don't think Seth believes them.
What's your name?
I'm Wyatt, and going in there to get drunk is Morgan Earp.
No fucking way, Wyatt Earp. Wow, I thought they were bullshitting. He was probably telling the truth.
There is a fella that wants to buy you a drink. Open gym.
All right.
That's cool. I wasn't expecting another notorious big name from the West to show up this late in the series.
One at a time.
lest they drag you to a deserved demise.
Fucking hell. Leave Richardson alone.
I got errands all morning myself. You just heard me fart, excuse me.
Well, if you want to get with Jane, you have to accept the fact she can be a bit crass like that sometimes.
Will you come back later?
Maybe.
That didn't sound too hopeful. Is Jane regretting the fact she did this? I don't know why she would be.
With a fist punch up your ass, today at the present moment.
I kinda like Shaughnessy. He's got a stick up his ass, of course, but you know, you gotta respect his authority on his own property. Seems like a guy just trying hard to do a good job running a business and just asking for a little bit of respect. Go on, Steve, you know you want to be friends, really.
Maybe you decline because you thought you ought to be partners in the fucking business. Name on the signage, like a human's.
Is Steve actually offering him this?
We will never be equal. Sign or fucking no. And if I agreed to your name on the signage, we would know the fucking truth still.
What in the fuck is wrong with your head, Steve? You were literally offering him partnership in the business, name on the sign, but you still had to bring it down with your racism.
If I hide his fucking saddle till he reveals fucking Hostetter's nigger voodoo ciphering methods.
What the fuck goes on in this guy's head? I know he's an alcoholic, but that does not justify this insane line of thought process.
Implying what by that fucking lordly look?
If he wasn't a racist, he would potentially be one of my favourite characters.
Now give me a fucking hoof.
Is he fucking de-hoofing it just so the general doesn't leave? It's about time someone kicked him up the ass.
For the last fucking time, give me a fucking hoof.
10 out of 10 acting by the horse in that moment as well.
Odell gonna meet up in New York City with a man works for Mr. Hayes. Go back with him to Liberia.
Well, I guess that's basically mission accomplished for Odell straight away. He only came here for that purpose, so is he gonna go again?
Can I fix you something to take away?
Something with meat and heat to it.
Nice, I'm gonna remember that phrase.
Road agents. Story goes, don't work these hills, but by my leave.
Al ain't buying it then because he doesn't know of road agents operating in this area.
Describe them.
My meaning would be, them firing, I didn't get a good fucking look at them.
If Wyatt Earp is telling the truth, this is the point where he has the right to be offended.
Your tale's full of shit.
If it wasn't Wyatt Earp, I would think he was bullshitting as well, but in this case, he may be telling the truth.
This was my idea. I got a timber lease to work.
Come by how?
Cards.
Oh, so he's admitting it was bullshit.
Axes, wedges, sheriff has. At the hardware store.
All right.
Well, that was a strange end to the meeting. I didn't expect Wyatt Earp to be sticking around to fucking chop timber, but there you go.
You figure Hearst would take a run at him?
Regardless of what they think of him just now, he's definitely a guy they want on their side. Did the horse kick him again? Is he dead? Is this the day? If he is dead, how poetic is that? Murdered by a horse. His life taken by his one true love.
We was working out the forgiveness of the debt.
Well, you can work out her forgiveness later.
They're definitely up to something. Not sure what yet, but they have got ulterior motives going on.
The next fucking step of my plan.
To capitalize?
You go ahead down to that hardware.
Wow, that's even a step above an ulterior motive. He has a literal plan. He may even have it in writing.
Very constructive reminder in this morning's edition. 12 days to the election.
Has this letter rattled him? I get the feeling that that is the only reason he is actually here.
Thanks, too, for publishing Sheriff Bullock's letter.
Here we go.
Was the sheriff's making his letter part of the public record meant to embarrass or reproach me?
Pretty much.
Keeping my opinions to myself.
You are less majestically neutral than cloaking your cowardice in principle.
That was quite a clever retort by Mr. Hurst.
Those kind of events could be in the weather, Merrick. you might have a second calendar for them.
Straight up death threats over a fucking letter being published.
This here gentleman's a hero, Mr. Tolliver. Thwarted a band of brigands attacking the stage out of Cheyenne.
I hope we find out whether that was true or not.
Tools to work at Timberlee's. Guess you're even more a hero. Guns being out of your line.
Don't know what Cy was implying by that comment.
Pay the man, Leon.
I didn't make my point.
You did to me.
Cy always trying to get in the good graces of people he deems as a potential ally. Fuck. I hate to break it to you, bro, but this does not look like a guy who is fit to run a theatre production. I don't think he's ever going to get out of this fucking bed again by the sound of him. Such a brutal set of circumstances. He loves this old guy so much and there's just nothing he can do.
Have you lanceolate pains hereabouts?
Yes.
Please don't fix Host's back.
I am aware of a certain technique by whose virtue I was relieved of a similar suffering of my own.
I hope this is a giant setup just to stab him in his fucking spinal cord.
Taught me by a former Odabashi of the Turkish artillery, come himself to be afflicted.
This does sound like a bit of an actor's speech.
Would later today be convenient to start, George Hurst?
Indeed.
I wonder why he was so friendly there, because he knows Al fucking hates Hurst. There must be more to the reason why he did that than what it seems. I'm suspicious of everyone this episode, they're all up to shit.
Prepare his transport. We are going to show him the theatre.
Well, they're going to try and get him out of bed. This may be the last thing he ever sees, but at least he's going to see it.
Speaking against the establishment's interest, you might leave with a rosier outlook, still holding some of our money.
Gotta respect his honesty. He's basically like, look mate, we gave you a bit to win, this is when we take it all back, leave now and you're up.
Well, Holmes appear to have propagated.
He's probably the first guy to win at that crap table in known history.
Porter may not make it till late this afternoon.
I'll cancel the session right after the recess.
She seems very understanding of this situation, that's cool.
Jen claims you worked that information from her. That her sister owed me money.
Wyatt Earp's brother's starting some shit.
$11.
How long you been wearing shoes, counselor?
Not very long, he's trying his best though. You can tell Wyatt's the more mature of the two, trying to keep the peace and be professional.
I'll cease to doubt your ability to do so.
Thought they were literally just going to start beating the shit out of him there. Bullock stands his ground. I suppose you would have to have that trait to be a good sheriff.
You give the go-ahead. Easy as a sheriff Sparks and cocky look as this kid wears.
Not exactly sure what the fuck he's talking about here, but it doesn't sound good.
You are excused by age and illness. I am simply stupid.
It's always nice to know yourself. Fucking hell, he sounds so ill. That gargling is rough to listen to.
Is he dying? Is he dead?
He's in a bad fucking way.
What is he, like in a coma or something?
Take that for his care and burying. Let me get my fucking horse passed.
General showing about as much care and consideration as is completely justified.
Fuck you, Steve. Fuck you, Hostetler. And fuck you too!
I don't agree with the second two parts, but definitely fuck you, Steve. He doesn't look like he's gonna recover though. A kick off a horse like that could fucking kill you straight up.
Stay right there, Bellegarde. We're already knee deep in shit.
How considerate.
$200 in merchandise in the middle of our store, like an interrupted shit.
Seriously, Seth is just not having a good day whatsoever.
Sheriff Bullock inside?
Only briefly. He's out of sorts and going downstairs for a blowjob.
Don't think any of them buy that.
Unless you think those two assholes are his response.
Not likely.
Something tells me Wyatt Earp is definitely not on Host's payroll.
The sheriff is going for a blowjob?
God bless his innocence.
Not asking why you've put the work aside, I'll say only some that do find themselves ready and uniquely able to work the other side of the street.
So he figures he's here on criminal activity.
My impulse to beat on certain types?
No, that seems never to go.
You never lose your need to beat the innocent.
Searched and searched before he left. Come to find it with him gone.
Oh, it's the brooch she was trying to give him. Wasn't that part of her attempting to bribe him to just leave?
However quickly he might catch Odell, until he did, the man would know he rode in the service of a colored person.
Fucking hell. I am not one of these modern left-wing extremists by a long shot. I love dark comedy. I love lots of touchy subjects being spoken about, used in drama, joked about, etc. But just the level of fucking racism from some of these characters, and again, I know it was a different time as well, but even to hear that shit, it's definitely one of my pet peeves. That makes my fucking blood boil.
Maybe we oughta be fucking deputies. Work our lease on the fucking side.
That would actually be cool if Wyatt Earp became a deputy in the town of Deadwood. That'd be amazing. They're talking like they genuinely do have a timber lease. I'm just so distrusting of any new character that shows up in this town. I think they're all up to shit. Ever since those two grifters in season 1, I haven't trusted any new character.
How you do, Morgan?
How do you do? What a beautiful fucking joint.
Well, we like to think so.
So one thing Cy has going for him, it is a nice establishment he has made. It's a shame about the ownership, of course.
Those as don't eat, without exception, fail to survive.
Is he brain dead? What the fuck has actually happened to him?
It's all yours.
And who would have thought, out of all the people, the one guy that Steve directs all his anger towards and has all these prejudiced views of, is the one guy actually sitting there trying to help him survive?
Cocksucker!
Okay, maybe I jumped the gun slightly, but who here did not enjoy seeing that happen? That's all I'm asking. It splashed on his face like his jizz did the horse's leg.
Of the sea.
I just want to see him break out a karate chop right now and end this fucking guy.
How are you? Some release in tension.
Is this a hustle? This has got to be a hustle. It didn't look like he did anything miraculous there. Fucking looks like he's been bukkakeed. See, deep down General's a good guy. He was just getting him back for all that racist shit, and Steve deserved it.
The curtain rises. The stage is set before us.
It sucks this guy will never get to see this. This is a small little subplot, but it's incredibly tragic when you think about it. This guy showed up into town, an actor, looking to buy a property that he could turn into a theatre to let his dying friend run one last theatre production, and his friend's gonna die before his plan even goes into motion. It's very creative and unique, but a bit of a downer.
To cast one's eyes so low.
Set me where you stand.
This must have been some old play they did or something like that. He still remembers the other side of the dialogue. I think this guy's literally just about to die.
Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Ah, fuck. That was such a great creative, very well written, but fucking sad story arc. The guy never even got to see a rehearsal. At least he got to die in the theatre. I guess is something we can take away from it.
Wrapped like a mummy in blankets. Drowning in his own fluids.
It's very rare people go out with any dignity.
The wiles of a bullshitter such as oneself may have use as a feint to occupy him.
So this was just a big hustle for the back thing.
The host's unhealthy soul, reliable to sustain his symptoms.
It's quite the plot just to maintain somebody's bad back, but since it's Mr. Host's, I am all for it.
The odd twinge, Mr. Langrish, but overall much improved.
A winning skirmish in a long campaign.
Nice, just injecting the long campaign in there. You'll be seeing a lot more of that guy fucking your back up, Host. Enjoy. I don't know if Host's going to trust him quite as much now he's seen him hanging about with Al.
So they should be moving in very shortly.
Thank you for telling me.
It's nice to see you've worked on your conversation skills throughout the day. You're doing a lot better job than you did this morning.
You acknowledge your lack of sweetness on retiring last evening?
I do.
You were a little bit of a cunt.
Being uneasy about my letter's publication.
And Mr. Hurst's reaction?
I should have put two and two together. For some reason, I did not correlate Seth's bad mood with the fact that his letter was in the paper that day. Understandably, that would put him on edge and make him defensive. What the fuck is this? Tension banjo has kicked in straight away. What is going on?
Hurst brought the pose to town.
Oh no, is this Mr. Hurst's backup? Shit. Okay, and that was episode 8 of season 3 of Deadwood, Leviathan Smiles, and I will be back in just a minute with my thoughts on that. So, Leviathan Smiles, what did I think of that? Well, first of all, let's talk about this actor storyline, man. The reason why I think it's so creative and clever is because it was literally the last thing I would expect for them to introduce in season 3. Like some acting troupe, one of them has a bit of history with Al, but aside from that, they're essentially these fresh, new characters completely disconnected from the ongoings in the town already. And his whole MO, to me at least, I mean this hasn't been confirmed, but I'm assuming this is the whole reason he came here, was to purchase a theatre to allow the dying guy to put on one last theatre performance. Brought in an acting troupe, had the guy brought there himself, and the fact that it was all in vain and the guy ended up dying before he even got to see a rehearsal, let alone the finished play, is incredibly tragic and again makes it a very just unique little subplot completely from out of left field. We'd have never have seen it coming. And now by the looks of it, Brian Cox's new purpose on this show is going to be to troll Mr. Hurst's back, which even though again is strange and unexpected, fuck it, if it causes Mr. Hurst a bit of daily discomfort, I'm all for it. Jane was being a bit weird and distant the morning after hooking up with Joni. Don't know exactly the reason she was like that. Is it due to her past? Is it due to her not wanting to get attached to someone? Is it due to her being embarrassed or ashamed in some way? I've no idea. All I know is Joni seems to really like Jane. Jane clearly likes Joni. I hope Jane sorts her shit out and goes back round there for that high-level, professionally trained head. She knows she'll miss it. And Seth's letter was published. Not sure as to how the town in general took the letter, but it certainly ruffled the feathers of Mr. Hurst, who went straight round to the printing press and gave them veiled threats for even publishing it. For a guy that essentially didn't know a single person in the town or how it fucking operates, he certainly showed up and fucking took control of everything with an iron fist in a hurry. Hurst doesn't let anything slip by him. And you know, if anyone was gonna fuck Steve up, I'm kinda happy it was a horse. That is definitely poetic revenge in a certain way. I don't exactly know the extent of his injuries, but he looks completely brain dead. If he makes any sort of recovery from this injury, I will be absolutely shocked. It's so weird, it's like, it shows that if racism didn't exist and Steve hadn't been indoctrinated to think like that, him and the General probably would have been good friends. You can tell deep down he kinda liked the General. He literally offered him to be co-partner of the livery with him. Now, you wouldn't do that to someone you disliked, but again, as soon as the General said no, he started with the N-bomb and this and that, and it's like, the character on the surface seems so shallow and ignorant, but it's a really complex mental disorder we're dealing with Steve, where he's been indoctrinated one way. His instinct is, you know, trying to override that with, you know, everyone's their own person, and if you like someone, you like someone, but then as soon as that gets rejected by the General not wanting anything to do with him justifiably because of how he is, he just resorts back to that indoctrinated racism. So yeah, slightly more complex than first seems, but don't get it twisted, I am happy the horse kicked the racist tirades out of his fucking mouth. Thank God we never get to hear one from him again. It seems like, judging by this episode, Hurst is now taking that mantle. He loves a good rant about people who are not white. That Steve General thing, it also showed to me that the General was a bigger man, because yes, when he first had him by himself, he was like throwing porridge at his face and shit, just getting his own back a bit. But at the end of the day, you know, he looked at him with the porridge on his face, felt bad for him, wiped his face clean, and the bottom line is, he is the only person sitting there keeping watch on him and trying to see him have some sort of recovery. Part of me almost wants Steve to recover now, just so he has to live with the fact that he would be dead if it wasn't for a black guy. I'm sure he'll still find a way to be racist under those set of circumstances, but it will at least be fun to see him challenged as to figure out a way mentally to circumvent having his life saved by a black person, to then be able to go back into full verbal assault towards them. It'll be some fun mental arithmetic to watch that character have to do. And Wyatt Earp has shown up. I was just not expecting another legendary Western name to pop up this late in the show, and that is definitely a fucking big name to be pulling out. Obviously Wyatt Earp is an absolutely legendary lawman. I didn't even know he spent any time on the criminal side of things, and I still believe him and his gang have an ulterior motive for showing up to town, but at the end of the day they have a fucking permit to chop timber, they're buying tools. Maybe they are genuinely there just trying to chop some lumber for all I know, but something tells me they have bigger plans for this town. I mean, Wyatt Earp even said he has a plan, so hopefully sometime soon we find out what those guys are really up to. And the episode ended with all those riders showing up with torches, who straight away motioned up to Mr. Hurst, and he smiled and nodded down at them like they are here on his orders. That is a lot of backup, especially when he's only dealing with really Al and Seth and a couple of other people. I don't think their posse, if I'm thinking about it in my head, equates to more than 10 men, and I swear there was definitely at least 10 guys who just showed up at the end there. So if this is Hurst's backup, shit might be picking up in intensity as of next episode. But even if it doesn't get crazy, he is now heavily guarded and way more safe than he was previously. It's got me fucking hyped to watch the next episode now. I can't believe I have to wait a week. If you've liked this video, click like, subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this, ring the bell to be notified as to when they drop. If there's anything you want to talk about, comment down below, and share this around to anyone you think might appreciate it or want to watch these reactions along with us. My Patreon link is down in the description. If you become a patron, you get access to my blog, you get access to these reactions I put on YouTube a month and a half in advance, and you also get access to full-length versions of everything I react to. So consider becoming a patron, it helps me and my channel out so much, and until next time, I have been BA, peace.